Going fast is the only way to get going fast with AI. I know this because I'm the bat.
Hey there, guys, and welcome back to Get Going Fast, where we're getting into this excellent hobby AI in a quick and efficient manner in which you might actually learn something. And today, we are looking at this cool little app called VoxCPM, which is continuing our trend of looking at text-to-speech stuff. There's so much stuff that we've been looking at. We've been looking at Higgs, we indexed TTS Plus. We had in the back Zonos is still fantastic, but here we have this VoxCPM, which is actually going to handle some pretty cool stuff that we're going to look at today. We're going to be looking at the Plus edition that I went ahead and have added features to that won't be in the original one, but I'll show you how to get it all down, and then of course you'll be able to get this elsewhere. But this app really is going to go beyond just the state of doing our simple audio stuff, but you can use this to work with your bots. Okay, so we're going to actually tie this into working with Discord bots. I'm going to show you the basics of how to get into that, and it's actually a great little program that I personally am using in my Discord channels. Maybe you can as well. So before we do that, though, I do want to thank you for liking the channel, subscribing, getting out there and just letting people know, going door to door and just handing them a flyer, smiling and walking away. And of course, that flyer says, "Get going fast" with AI on it. People love that kind of stuff. They like it when you come to the door and give them free things. So that's very thoughtful of you. I appreciate that. In the meanwhile, we're going to push on here. I'm going to show you a bit of what we got going and show you how to get this thing installed and use it on your command line and in your Python code. I mean, come on, what else can you ask for? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, as usual, is we're going to have to find this. So just go to your Google, and we're going to type VoxCPM GitHub. Now, GitHub, of course, is the place where most of these apps are kept. It's just a fantastic site that has a lot of repositories, and you're going to want to sign up for GitHub, okay? So if you haven't signed up for GitHub, sign up for GitHub. It's one of those apps you just need, okay? So we're going to come here. And this is the one here. It's by these, well, I guess it's by VoxCPM. Oh, by OpenBMB. So there's a great app. Now, you can go ahead and read all this if you want. Novel Tokenizer. You can throw that into a chat GPT and ask it to explain it to you. What we're concerned about here is the context-aware expressive speech generation, the true-to-life voice cloning, and, you know, high-efficiency synthesis. So it says it's fast. All right. Now, there is a few things with this. You'll notice we're going to get down here to the install. The install is actually very easy, but there's some steps that they do not add here. Okay, so we are going to have to let me drag this over here. We're going to actually have to install some stuff on our own as well. Okay, so if you just follow from this, it will not work. Okay, now the reason why they do stuff like this is because the guys that are creating this, they have their workstation set up. I mean, you got to think these are businesses, you know, multi-million or whatever, big businesses that have their system set up and they have all their dependencies the way they want it. So they don't have to install Torch. They don't need to install all their numpies, all this other stuff, because they've already got their system the way they want it. Okay, now we come in as open source hobbyists, and of course we're installing 1,800 things. You know, we're installing this and that and that and that and that, and so our dependencies are very different. So that's where we're using virtual environments, which means we need to be more focused on making sure that we don't have just one thing that fits all, because there is no one thing that's going to fit all. Instead, we have to figure out the small stuff. So this is very easy to get the core dependencies, but what you're going to find is when you try to use it, you're going to have errors. So you need to pay attention, and I'm going to walk you through the steps that we have to do. Okay, so obviously install from P YPI. Let's just go ahead and grab this, but we're going to have to do some stuff first. We need to create our we're going to need to create a folder. We're going to need to create our virtual environment. You know, all this kind of stuff. So we'll copy this, but let's head on over to our command prompt and get that going. So we're going to pop over to our command prompt, and you want to make sure you're opened up in an administrative account. But go to our drive. We do not want to do this in our downloads folder or on our desktop. We want to get as close to an actual drive as possible. And then what you want to do is just make your directory. So you could make your directory, we could call it Vox. We could just call it Vox, okay, CPM. MKDIR means make directory, and then you put the name of the directory. So let's go ahead and make that. And this is just for organizational sake, because it's going to help us. Now we're going to type CD VoxCPM. Oops, if we can spell. All right, and you're going to notice that we're now in the VoxCPM folder. So if I type DIR, which stands for directory, you'll see there's nothing in there because we ain't done nothing yet, okay? So let's pop on back over to our browser. Let's go ahead and git clone, oh shoot, where are we at? This folder. Now, I want to point something out here. It doesn't say to do it because you can actually pip install this and we can use it down here with our command line stuff without actually downloading the whole folder. But we want to be able to use the app and stuff. So we want to make sure that we get everything down here. Okay, so we're going to go up here to where the address bar is and just highlight that and just press Control-C to copy that. Then let's go back over to our command prompt here. I got my desk is so messy here, it's hard to find everything. All right, now I'm just going to go here and I'm going to hit Control-V. And that's going to paste that in there. Oh, but I need to actually type the word git clone. Okay, then I'm going to hit Control-V. So Git is an application that goes to our GitHub repositories, and it actually gets the files for us. So we're saying basically what we're saying is go to this address and clone it here on my local computer. That's essentially what we're saying. So if we hit enter here, it's going to create another folder called VoxCPM. So we've got a folder called VoxCPM with a folder called VoxCPM in it. That's great. This is what we're going to use. So I'm going to type CD as in change directory, and I'm going to go into the one that we just downloaded, CD VoxCPM. Now if I type dir, you're going to see there's all the files I downloaded, including the app, which we're going to eventually need. Now I'm going to hit CLS to clear my screen, just because you don't want to get all cluttered up. All right. Now, before we do anything, we need to create a virtual environment. Okay. So a virtual environment keeps us from messing up our systems. When we install a virtual environment, it's like saying, hey, I'm going to work on this special project, but I'm going to do it in a room where it doesn't mess everything else up. Like I'm going to paint. Okay, but what I'm going to do, I've got my easel, I got my paint, I'm going to flick paint, I'm going to do all this kind of stuff, but I'm going to put tarps all over the place so it doesn't get on the bed, it doesn't get on the walls, you know, all this kind of stuff, doesn't get on the carpet. I got a tarp, and so our virtual environment is like setting down a tarp, so if anything goes wrong, it's going to just be contained within that environment. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a Python virtual environment. So we're going to, we got to make sure that you have Python installed. You can always type Python -- version, and if it's not installed, you'll get an error. So if this isn't working, go to one of my other videos and watch how to install Python. Okay, but let's assume you got it going. We're going to type Python because we're calling the app. And I'm going to go -m, which means I'm going to call a function of Python, but I'm going to call it as its own thing. Okay, so we'll call it Vim. We're calling an application called Vim, and I'm going to create a virtual environment. That stands for V in virtual environment. I'm going to create one called VENV. Now I could name it whatever I want. I could call it my first ever, bestest, greatest virtual environment ever. Okay, I could do all that if I wanted, but then I would have to type that in every time I activate the virtual environment. So kind of the way that we do this is we just call it by Vim. And that way also when people see it, they know what it is. Okay, so I'm going to go Python. I'm calling Python. I'm saying, hey, Python, I want you to run the Vim application and create a virtual environment called Vim. Okay, So I can remember in the Matrix how they had all these different apps. All the people in the Matrix, like they were all representative of different applications that the Matrix run. So it's like that. Like Python's kind of a controller app, and it's calling this other guy over here called Vims, and it's saying, hey, you need to do your work. Okay, so that's what that's doing. Now we need to activate it, because what good is it if I go buy a tarp for my painting, but I don't put it on the ground? Okay, so I have it, but I'm not using it. So what we do, if you type dir, you'll see that it created a folder called Vim, and inside that folder is another folder called scripts, and inside that folder is an application called activate. So what we're going to do, instead of drilling all the way in there, we're going to use this term. We're going to say call, okay? Call the Vim folder, and then inside of that, call the scripts folder, and then run this application called activate. And notice now that we're inside the Vim folder. So now whatever we do, see how it keeps that Vim up there? We're inside this folder. Now we can install stuff, and it's not going to mess up our system. I'm going to tell you, a lot of errors you guys get comes from that you've already got something installed on your base environment, especially with Torch. You get Torch errors, and it's because you have Torch installed on your base environment, and then you're trying to install it in a virtual environment, but the base one's overriding it. Okay, so you keep your base environment as clean as possible, and everything in virtual environments. All right, now if we go back over to our browser, we can grab the instructions here that say pip install VoxCPM. Now, but like I said, we're going to have to do more than this, okay? So we're going to go into here, back over to our app, and we're going to just paste this in here. Pip install VoxCPM. So pip is our Python package installer. So you have to have dependencies. It's like saying I need someone created this little thing that helps me to do this. I need to go get that function so that my app will work. That's what pip does. So we're calling pip. We're saying, hey, pip, I want you to install something, and I want you to install a package that's called VoxCPM. Now, pip knows what VoxCPM is because it's been registered online. But it's going to go there. It's going to install it. Notice it's collecting all this stuff. But also we're in our virtual environment, so it's putting it into there. Okay, so we'll let that go for a second. Now, again, when we go back to our browser over here, it's going to have our model download, so we'll do all that. But you're going to notice here that it doesn't have anything else. It just goes to the basic usage, which I'm going to walk you through later in this video. But even then, when you're running this, notice it says like import numpy, import sound file. These are all things that we're going to have to do manually. So let's pop back over here to our app. Okay, that's going to keep installing. I'm going to pause this for just a minute so you don't have to sit here and wait forever. We'll come back and then we'll move on to the next steps. In the meanwhile, head on over to YT Music or any of your major things like Spotify or iMusic and do a search for Jim Day and the Better Stories, where you can listen to good music like this.
When there's nothing to say, don't say it anyway. When there's nothing to say, don't say it anyway. 'Cause words can cut more deep than this love that we've been trying to keep.
Okay, so now this is finished up. So if we pop over back to here, again, there's no further instructions, although it wants us to start downloading the models. Now, we're not going to do that because we're going to find that it'll actually download them for us. Okay, so we don't actually need to do this. If you wanted to do this, what you would do is throw this code into a Python file, which is a .py file, and it could do it for, but the thing is going to do it itself. Okay, but I do want to show you here what happens if we try to run any of this code right now without installing anything else. I'm going to show you that it's not going to actually work. So notice over here, I tried to go ahead and run just the CLI file. So I tried to run just this right here. Okay, I copied that. I went over there. I pasted in, and notice I got all sorts of errors. There's a few things here to notice. One, it says, it mentions about CUDA is needed to run it properly, tries to warm it up, and then it goes failed to load the model, got an out of range error. So you're just going to get all sorts of errors because we have to set this up for our computer. Remember, the guys that were setting this up, their computers were set up. So we kind of have to work backwards and figure out what it is we need. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually pop on back over to our browser again. And this time, let's go over here. I'm going to show you where we can get these dependencies to work through. Going to head over to my blog at cognibuild.ai. Okay. And when you get here, just click on the blog button. Now you'll find down here it says installation dependencies for VoxCPM. If you find this at a later date and it's not there at the top, you can just type in VoxCPM in the search bar and you'll get it. Okay, so pretty much this is what we need to work our way through the installation. So we've already installed our VoxCPM. I got those go-to errors in there. That's from a batch file. I'll delete those. Don't worry about what those means. That's just kind of a troubleshooting thing. But we're going to grab this pip install numpy, then pop back over to our command prompt, and notice we're still in our virtual environment, which is good. So let's just paste that in there. We'll pip install that. Okay, numpy has to just do with numbers running back and forth. Let's go back, get the other one. Now, notice what we're going to do here. We're actually going to uninstall the torch that's installed. When we installed VoxCPM, it installed it with its own torch, okay, which we don't want, okay, because it's the one that they were using. It doesn't really mean much to our system. In fact, if you type pip list, so PIP and then list, okay, so look at all the things that pip is installed. You'll see everything that just that VoxCPM installed, and you'll notice down here that installed torch audio, all there, but they're not necessarily what we want. So we're going to go ahead and uninstall them. So we're going to type in pip uninstall. So we're saying, hey, pip, instead of installing this time, what I want you to do, it's not what you do uninstall something. I want you to uninstall torch audio, and torch codec. And then I'm just giving it a -Y so that it doesn't prompt me each time. And so like, are you sure you want to do it? Are you sure you want to do it? I'd be like, I'm saying it once for all. I want to do it. I want it done. So it's going to go through there and uninstall it. Then we're going to go back in here and we're going to grab what we've got here. Now, maybe in the future that 12.9 is going to work for you. But I'm telling you, there has been issues with Torch 12.9, and this is going to be, we want to just go to something stable. Okay, so we're going to grab this 2.8 version here. Just grab all this, and we're going to use CUDA 12.6 just because we know it works. So it's going to be fine. If you have your drivers are installed with 13 or 12.9, it's fine because it's all backward compatible. So we're going to copy that. Head back to here. Notice it uninstalled everything that was there. It said torch codec wasn't installed, so it wasn't necessary, but who cares? Okay, hit Control V, and now the same thing. Now we're going to say pip. Now I want you to install something. I want you to install torch, but a very specific version of torch. Then I want you to install torch audio, but a specific version of it, okay? And I want you to get it from this location. So we're going to say -index -URL. I want you to get it from this location. In other words, I want the 2.8 version that was made with CUDA 12.6. Now, if I wanted 12.8, I could change that 6 to an 8 or whatever, because it's saying like, it's just like folder mailboxes. And in each one of them has a version of Torch 2.8, let's say, but done with that particular thing. We want the one that was done with 12.6. So we're going to go to this mailbox, grab it, hit the install. Okay. I'm going to wait here for just a second. There it goes. Oh, I messed it up. I got to fix that. I was wondering about that. That index needs 2 dashes. I'll fix that over on the blog there. But there you go. Now it's going to go there and it's going to start downloading that. So we'll wait. Torch always takes a while to download. So to download and then to install. So we'll pause. Be right back. We'll move on to the next step. Okay, now that's done, we're going to pop back on over here. Let's grab the next step. We already got the torch. Now we're going to install this torch codec. Okay, so grab that. Put that in there. That shouldn't take too long. That's a quick one. Then we'll head back. Now we got to install this UV and that's for the network so that we can access the browser and the stuff that it's doing. So we'll go back over to our app, install this, and we should be ready to go. Okay, so we have all of our stuff. We have our virtual environment installed. I'm going to type CLS to clear the screen. If I type dir, you're going to see we've got our Python app. So let's run that first before we get into the command line stuff. Let's run it. So I'm going to type Python app.py. So Python is our interpreter. Whenever you see a file with a py extension, that means it's a Python file. It means that Python is going to be able to say, oh, it's going to take that code, it's going to turn it into machine language. So, you know, our machine knows what to do with it. Okay. We're in our virtual environment. Okay. Every time you run this, you've got to make sure you use that call v thing. And we're going to go ahead and put that there. We'll hit enter and we'll go. And the first time you load this stuff always takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it has to build files. In this case, it's going to download your files. Now, it's going to download this to your C drive. Regardless of where you put this, this is going to use your Hugging Face cache. Now, if you want, we're not going to go into it. It's a little bit outside of the purview of this. If you want to, you can go in and make it save the files locally. Okay, but you do need to be careful that you got to have enough space on your C drive to run this. So we'll let this run. I'll pause it. We'll come back and we'll be up and going. Okay, pop back in to show you here downloading models. Okay. See it downloaded the models, goes to run it. Now I got an error and I want to tell you what this error is. This is my own fault. Cannot find an empty port in range 7860. That's because I'm already running something on that. So if you're running, like in this instance, I had a Comfy UI is running. So it was taking up that port. So let me go close that down. And then we'll do this again. All right, now you'll notice it says here, running on local URL. Here, so what we'll do is copy that. Sometimes you can hold the control button down and click on it. For this one, it's not letting us. So we're just going to copy it. And then we'll go back over to our browser. And then what we can do is actually just paste that in there. And notice it brings up VoxCPM. There it is. All right. So great. It has a preloaded prompt voice.
Just by listening a few minutes a day, you'll...
Okay. And what's really cool about this, whatever voice you put in here, it's actually uses Whisper to transcribe it. So you can clear that out. We could upload, let's upload SpongeBob here. Okay, and notice it automatically changed the thing.
And Get Going Fast is several levels of membership for those just wanting to get their toes in the water.
So notice it actually transcribed it. Then we just go over here to our target text and we can be like, Get Going Fast is so cool. And Gary, so handsome. Girls, give him a call. Right? And then we can go ahead and generate that. And it's going to go ahead and do it. Now, I've got a bunch of different stuff that's going, so we'll slow it down a bit, right? Because my GPU's used a bit, but this still doesn't take very long to run, and we should have something here within just a few moments. And there you have it. Let's go ahead and play it.
Get Going Fast is so cool, and Gary is handsome. Girls give him a cow.
So notice I messed up the word there. Give him a Cal. Give me a ticket to Cal. But I won't take it. Give me a ticket. You buy me a ticket to Cali, I'm not going. But you can give me you give me a call. So there you go. That was real easy. Okay, and you can play with the CFG value. You can see all this kind of stuff. Now I'm gonna take a moment here and show you over here the difference we made in the plus version over here. So over here you got the same idea. You can load the things in here, but let me show you what it does. So let's say well, I mean, a few different things. Let's go ahead and notice it's got a URL. Let's go find a URL that we could use. Okay, so now we can paste something into here. We hit this download random 8 seconds, and then look what happens. It actually downloads the whole video, and it does a couple cool things. First of all, here's our full audio. It has the full audio, but it also grabs just like a random 8 seconds. Maybe that'll be enough.
Someone you've met, the old blind lady from the laundromat, Al.
God, I miss cocaine.
So, but notice it had another person's voice in there, so you don't want that. What you want to do is you want to click around through here and find a spot where you get just the voice.
Travel. We have no idea who we're going to cast yet, but it could be anybody.
Okay, so let's say that's a good place. Right there, it sounds like that's just Deadpool speaking. It starts at 3 minutes. So this is a little wonky here. You got to do everything by 60 seconds, but 60 times 3 is what is that? 180 seconds. We're going to say start there. And let's just say let's grab 10 seconds of it. So we'll go 180 to 190. Notice it popped over here.
Amazing character. Bionic arm, time travel. We have no idea who we're going to.
Okay, so there we go. I'm going to say go ahead and trim and load segments to prompt. So now it took that section that we chose, put it down here. Now I can go over here and I can put my whole Gary, what a great guy Gary stuff is. So we'll just paste that in there. But this time we'll fix call. And we'll say, I'm not just handsome, I'm super handsome. All right, and then now if we go ahead and hit our generate speech, it's going to go ahead and do the same thing we did with the other, but I was able to do that. Now, while it's loading, I want to show you a few other things the Plus version has. There's a voice library. So this will actually save voices we've used in the past.
No, I've been through a lot.
Cheetahs are actually very curious, and then
So that way I don't have to keep recreating the stuff I've already created.
Save the earth, but it
Okay, and so when we're done with using this one Deadpool, it will add it to there as well. In fact, here it is. Let's listen to it.
It going fast is so cool, and Gary is super handsome. Girls give him a call.
All right, so that's not the best in the world, but that wasn't bad. Okay, you can see we got his voice there in just a few seconds. So that's kind of the difference. The one that we just installed works great. It's awesome. You just got to do a little bit more manual stuff. Download your videos, put your prompt speech, clip it, put your prompt speech in there, run it. Works great. If you want the Plus version, you can get that over at VoxCPM.getgoingfast.pro. And that will take you over to VoxCPM.getgoingfast.pro. And then you can just get there. Free for, if you're a member, you get it for free. Okay? So that's that. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how we can run this on the command line and in our Python codes. Okay, so I've decided this video has gone long enough that I'm going to make a second video on how to run this in Python and your Discord bots. I'll show examples of how it's working. But just know that with this now, this installation that we have put in here, you are now set up to be able to run the app. We'll be able to run stuff from the command line, but I'm going to show you how to do it. You have everything set up. If we had not done things the way that we did with installing the particular Torch audio, the Torch codec, if we hadn't have done those things, when we get to the cloning step, the next thing would not work. Okay, so we have everything set up for what we need. You guys hang in there, get this running, play with the apps. You can play with Plus, you can play with the normal. It's all going to work the same. Okay. And then keep your eye open for our next video. And I'm going to show you how to actually do something a little more functional with your own program. So I think that's worth waiting for. That's good stuff. All right. And meanwhile, you guys be good. We'll catch up with you on the other side. Yo.